Hey guys, what's up? My name's Lex and welcome to my first ever tutorial. Just a quick FYI, nothing is scripted here, so it may be kind of bad. But I'll try my best just to kind of quickly go over how I made my my weapon system, combat system, whatever you want to call it, in my time lapse that I posted about a week ago now. I said I'd get this out a little earlier, but sadly, there's been a lot to do. Alright, so first I set up my scene. I have my player character, which I'm just going to drag the animator on, and we're going to just give him a capsule collider. And we're just going to set up the capsule collider real quick. Most of these things I've already set up myself. And then I'm just going to give him a rigid body. This is just to make sure he stays to the ground. This is really... And then we do want to put the constraints on where it's X, Y, and Z, so we don't rotate. I prefer doing this in code, but for now this is good enough. And of course we want to take off apply root motion, at least for the animations I'm using. So let's go over quickly the animation. So I have an animation pack called the Warrior Pack Bundle 3. It's the free version. It has some really basic animations. So I got an attack animation, an idle, and a run, which I have set up in here. So all I've done is I set up this animator, and then we just have a quick little state. So idle is state 0, attack is state 2, and run is state 1. Alright, so let's go back here. So obviously we just have a plane, and here this is going to be our enemy, and we're just going to go down here to the capsule collider and make this a trigger. So the way what I do works is it works on triggers. So that way I actually don't know if we don't need to make the capsule collider trigger. The only thing that has to be a trigger is actually the weapon, now that I think of it. But yeah, so the weapon does have to be a trigger. So that's actually going to be the next quick thing. So for these guys, they have a root, and we're just going to dig down the root until we find a right hand, and right there, perfect. And then I'm just going to add a weapon. I always add the same weapon for all of this just because it works very well actually. So weapons. Now, of course, this is going to vary pack to pack depending on what you have. All right, and then we're just going to add this weapon. Quick thing for this weapon is it's going to be absolutely tiny in the scene. And oh my God, what's going on? Okay, like it's literally super small. You can't see it. So I just multiply this by 133 on all, and we're just going to rotate it properly. Now, I just wanted to show this in the tutorial because I don't know. It actually took me a little bit of time to realize where to put the weapon so it properly follows the hand. Just because I'm just a bit weird and kind of slow on some of these things. So there we go. We got the weapon, and we got our character and our enemy. So before we go on to code, we're going to give him a tag of enemy. All right, perfect. And just drop that tag onto him. Perfect. Now this is kind of an optional thing. You can do it there's many ways of doing this, but I like doing it with the tag system. That way you're not searching through everything's components that you're actually hitting. So let's just double check everything's ready. So we got our animator with 3 animations, apply root motions off, and we are freezing the rotation for the rigid body. Yes, we got an enemy, and we got a playing field. Now next thing, let's just make sure we got a camera that can see well. Yeah, that looks good enough. So let's start with the code. So I just made myself a little script section here. So we are just going to go ahead and make a C# script called enemy. Now the enemy is fairly simple. It just contains one quick variable. And whenever this loads up, okay, perfect. So we're going to go up here, and I like to do it this way for whatever I want to do. Variables that I expose to the editor, I use serialized field, and I use a private variable instead of a public one. So we're just going to create an HP. So I'm actually going to make this equal to 10. Very easy. Oops. Don't want to set semicolons. And then public void on damage. And this is just going to take a float of damage. So this part's actually really simple. We're just going to take the damage from, or we're going to take the damage from the HP, and then we're just going to check if the HP is equal to or less than 0. And if it is, we're just going to destroy our game object. It's a very easy way to test if our collision actually works. So game object, and now our enemy is set. So let's go and drag it on to our enemy, and excuse me, there we go. Easy peas. So now our weapon, this is what we have to do next, is actually give the weapon a hitbox. So we're going to give this a box collider. And this is going to be a trigger. This has to be a trigger. And then we are going to just adjust the hitbox just so it fits the head of the axe. Of course, depending on which kind of weapon you got, you might want a bigger hitbox, smaller hitbox. Just adjust it the way you want it. And of course, this also depends on preference. And then we are going to create a weapon script. Alright, so now that that's loaded, okay, there we go. So the weapon is also another fairly simple thing. So first we're going to want a damage variable. Alright, we're going to just give this 10 as well. That way it insta kills it. And we are going to put a string here called the enemy tag. And of course, we're just going to call this enemy. This way, when we're comparing tags, we have a variable for that. Now, what else we're going to want is we're going to want a private list of enemies that we've hit. So, enemies hit, and we're just going to do it like this real quick. And one last thing I like to do, you don't really have to do this, but I prefer it. So we're going to do a private collider. So you'll see what this does in a quick second. Alright, so first we're going to actually get our collider. Alright, so get component and just collider. Oh, alright, there we go. Okay, so we got a collider. So what we're going to do next is actually going to go down here. Oh, one thing actually before we keep going, we're going to actually turn our collider off. So collider.enabled equals false. Alright, and now we're going to go down here and we're going to create a public function. This has to be public because we're going to be calling it from a different class, void. So we're going to call it damage start. So this is going to get called by the player to start the damage on the weapon, and whatever goes through the weapon trigger will get damaged. So what we're going to do is we're going to enable the hitbox. So dot enabled. That one's pretty simple, and then we're going to make a damage end for when we want to turn the hitbox off again. Now this is all just, like I said before, this is all prototype code. So make sure, there's much better ways of doing this, but this is just kind of a very basic way. And now that we've got the collider disabled, we also want to clear our enemy's hit. And there we go. Alright, so we got all of that. And now, there's one last function this class needs. Alright. Actually, it could be private void on trigger enter. So if other dot tag equals our enemy tag, then we want to check if m_score enemies hit dot contains. Actually, before we go do that, we're gonna go here, enemy equals other dot get component, and then we're just gonna drop in enemy there, and perfect. And then we're just gonna check if we already have enemy in there, so we don't hit it twice, because that's a possibility with this. If stuff can't hit twice, and then you just drop HP really quick, and so this is just kind of the easiest way I found, and also the quickest. So actually, it does not contain. So now we checked if it is an enemy, and then we made sure that we didn't hit the enemy already. Now we're gonna actually damage the enemy. So enemy dot on damage, and then we're just gonna pass in our damage, and then we're gonna add it to our enemy's hit. And that should be that. So let's just take a quick look, and everything seems to be in order. So we got our enemy and our weapon done. So now all we need is to kind of tie it together with a character controller. So first thing, before we start getting to the character controller, let's add our brand new script to our weapon. And we're going to keep the same, we're just going to keep the same basic variables. This is just in later on if you want to add AI or anything. That way you can be, okay, so what's the enemy tag? Well, the enemy tag is actually the player, you know. So next, we're actually just gonna make our character, let's call it player controller actually. We're gonna make our player controller. And let's just drop that right away onto our player. That way we do not forget. And player controller right up here. So now the first thing we want is we actually want our weapon script from our weapon. Because we are going to be using animations. So we want to make sure that we have a way to access our we're going to be using animation events, and we want to make sure we can access that weapon very easily. So before we go move, actually we're just going to code this and then we're going to fix it up later. Alright, so what we're going to do is pretty simple. Alright, so my character only has to move in one way, so this, I'm just doing this really quick just to show you guys. Float direction X equals 0. Like I said, this is very okay. So if input dot get button down, actually just get button. Actually, it's just get key. What am I doing? Get key. Input dot. Oh no, what am I doing? Oh Lord, key code. There we go. Dot W. Okay, and dir X minus equals 1, just because that's the direction my character is currently facing. So this would be different. This is just really to get the code done. So if alright, so alright, actually just go transform dot position dot X plus equals dot, oh my god, I think this should work. I hope this works. It doesn't work. Okay. Alright. So let's just do it like this. So new vector 3, and then we're going to do transform, and then we're just going to copy this 3 times. Alright, and then the first one's going to be dot X, dot Y, and dot Z. And then we're just going to do plus equals direction X. Oh yeah, it doesn't work like that, does it? Oh Lord. Okay. Equal. Let me see. Why can't... I'm just so used to just setting an entire... Okay, so you know what? Let's do it this way. Equals transform dot position. Okay, and now we're going to do position dot X plus equals direction X. Alright, this is, like I said, this is really poopy code. Do not copy this. Make your own character controller. If you have to use this to test, that's fine, but please make a proper character controller. Okay, so now we can move. So now we can actually, position equals position. Alright, so we got that out of the way. Now we can move our character real quick. So, actually one thing I forgot up here, actually, so let's go back up here and actually add our animator. Animator is important, very important to this. Oh Lord, I can't type today. Animator, there we go. And we're just gonna get the animator component, equals get component, animator. That way we get our animator from our player, so we can actually change the state. So we're gonna do that real quick. If animator, if equals 0, then our state will be 0. So dot, so yeah, so set int, and then I called it state, of course, whatever you guys called it, and then whatever your idle is. Alright, and then one more quick variable actually while we're here. So we're going to do a bool this time. Actually, let's call it attacking. So that way, if we are attacking, what this will do is it will stop us from attacking. I'll show you how that works in a quick second. So if we are attacking, then we want our animator to be in the attacking state. And that's 2 for me. So we're just going to do an else if here actually. And then finally, else, we're just going to make our character walk. And boom. So that's set. So up here, what I'm going to do real quick is actually get the mouse button down. Input, get mouse button down. And I'm going to get 0 for the left mouse button. And then we're just going to make M attacking equal true. So if it's true, we are going to start attacking. So, but if we are attacking, we're going to return. So this just makes it so we can't move while we're attacking. And you might notice, okay, well, we're never setting it back. How are we going to do that? So pretty easy. We're actually going to go down here. And we're going to make 2 public functions. So damage start again. And we're just going to call our weapons dot damage start. And then finally on damage end. Damage. Oh yeah. And we're just going to go here and call our weapons damage end. And there we go. Now we have to do one more thing is unlock our character. So M underscore attacking equals false. And this pretty much does it for all the code now actually. So let's get all this set up real quick. So let's go to our character. Whenever Unity decides to load, there we go. And we're just going to drag and drop that weapon. And please Unity, please work. There we go. We're just going to throw that in. And now let's give it a quick test. Make sure everything's set up properly. Okay. There is no animator attached to character, but game object, but script is trying to access it. I don't. Alright, so let's see what's going on here. I don't know what's going on because the character was obviously. I understand now. I understand. Okay, so I made a small mistake. So instead of putting the character script on the actual game object, main game object, I put it on the wrong one. So let's just put it here and then redirect the weapon, and that should do it. All right, sorry. That's kind of what happens when you click too fast. So let's see here. Okay, there we go. And and we're not attacking. So let's see here. All right, so oh, that's right. We forgot one. Well, I forgot one thing. You guys didn't forget. So this is actually. Let's see here. My character should still attack, but window, and then we're going to go to animation. And animation here. So one thing, I don't know if I already mentioned this, I don't think I did, but if you have animations, make sure to hit Control D on all of them to duplicate them from these things. That way they're not on read only. So now that we clicked on the character, now we're going to go here and go to attack one. So we have one event already set for us, which we're going to start on damage start, and then let's bring it to about here, almost near the end. Actually, let's take a look here. Okay, so right about here, it looks like about the time we would be stopping the damage, and then we're going to call end damage. All right. So now let's take a quick look here, make sure everything is in order. All right, so everything seems to be in order now. And we're still not attacking. We're still not moving. Very strange. Are we even in the script? That's okay. Yes, we have the script there. So let's see if we can fix this real quick. What if we multiply this by 10 and then multiply this by delta time? Time dot delta time. That should actually give us a better movement. Interesting. Capsule collider's there, and I'm starting to think. Yeah, everything seems to be here. That's very interesting. Okay, so there we go. So our player can move forward. And now let's see here. Animation foot R. Let's just quickly turn that off by going back into our animation window, going to our walking, which is our run, and then removing this. Delete the. Just that way we don't get any extra errors here that might be blocking us. All right. Very interesting. So let's go over this again. So if we are attack, Okay, actually, what we're gonna do actually is just switch these positions. We're gonna put this on top. Maybe that's what's going on here. And then we could delete the if. And then, there we go. I think that might have actually been the issue right there. Alright, so let's see here. Just kind of a quick, sometimes the order really does matter. So let's see if we can swing, and boom, we killed it. So that's that for the tutorial, 20 minutes. I'm sorry guys, I tried to make it as short as possible by removing as much as I could. But if you made it this far, thank you very much. I'm really happy I made this tutorial. It was kind of fun. And actually, I shot this like 50 times and finally got it decently this time. So I hope you guys did learn something. This is, like, again, I've said this before in the video, but this is prototype code, so I encourage you to really go out and learn better ways of doing this. But this will work just to get your game started, just to get yourself going. And alright guys, have yourselves a great one, and I'll see you another time.